Hello, my name is Andrea Chavez. It is May 29th, 2018. This is for Bio 225, week 4 lab. Okay, so now we're going to be transferring our S. epidermis and E. coli into the MRVP vials, the broth, and I've already labeled the two broths and I've put them next to their culture, and I let my pipette say an alcohol. So now what we're going to do is remove the cap of the E. coli and run it under the flame. And now we want to remove the cap of the broth and run it under the flame. Then we are going, this was the broth and this was the culture. So now we want to take our pipette and take some from the culture that we have. And put 4 drops into our broth and then into our bleach. Now before covering, we want to put it under the flame one more time. And cover that. Same for our E. coli. And we will do the same for the S. epidermis. Okay, so what we did for the E. coli, now we're going to do for the S. epidermis. So we have our culture here. We're going to remove the cap and run it under the flame. Now we want to take our MRVP broth that's labeled S. epidermis and run it under the flame as well. Now we will use our pipette that was soaking in alcohol and remove some of the culture and pipette 4 drops into our MRVP broth and place it into our bleach. Now before putting the cap on, we want to run it under the flame one more time. Same with the broth. And that's it. Okay, so now we're back with the incubated broths. This is the E. coli broth, and this is the S. epidermis broth. And what we're going to do is pour half of this broth into each tube as labeled, and then we're going to do the methyl red test first. So I'm going to pour E. coli into its test tube. So we've poured about half in each, and we're going to do the same with the S. epidermis. We are going to cut the tip of the methyl red and pour 7 drops into each tube. So the S. epidermis and the E. coli, and leaving 2 tubes for the other tests. And as you can see, it has turned red at the top. This one has some orange, but this one is distinctly red and white. So this one is the S. epidermis, and this is the E. coli. So now we are going to do the Vogus Proscare test. So I've already, as you know, split up the culture. So we have S. epidermis and E. coli. And then we're going to take Barrett's A and pour 12 drops into each. And now we're going to take the Barrett's B and put 4 drops of that into each. After that, we are going to wait 30 minutes and then we will come back. As you can see, there's no red at the top of these 2 vials or test tubes, which means that this test was negative and it didn't work. So this is probably due to there wasn't like enough bacteria grown in the broths before I did the test. So now I know for next time. Okay, so we've labeled 2 slides, E. coli and S. epidermis. I've had 2 incubation loops soaking in alcohol. And I also have a pipette and hydrogen peroxide. So what we're going to do is first we'll start with S. epidermis, our culture plate. We're going to open this up and put some of the colonies onto our slide. And take some of our colonies and plate it onto the slide. Okay, now that we're done with that, we're going to cover it back up. And put this into our alcohol and do E. coli next. So now we're going to take our E. coli slide and our culture and take some of this culture and put it onto our slide. We are going to take hydrogen peroxide and pipette it onto the slide. We're going to place a drop of hydrogen peroxide onto the culture that we have just put there. So as you can see, it's bubbling up. So we're going to do the same for S. epidermis. And that is finished result.